You ever send a text, an email, or maybe a message and it just completely backfires? I mean, we've never been more connected in all of human history, but somehow we feel more disconnected than ever before. It's a total paradox, right? Okay, so let's dive into this. We're going to break down exactly why this is happening and, more importantly, what we can actually do to fix it.
All right, to really get a sense of the scale we're dealing with here, just look at this number. We're talking about 33.59 million. As of early 2024, that's how many internet users there are in Malaysia. Think about that. It's practically the entire population. We are a nation that is constantly, and I mean constantly, plugged in.
And this isn't just a casual thing. The sheer amount of time we're spending is, well, it's staggering. We're talking over 8 hours a day on the internet. And get this, almost 3 of those hours are just on social media. That's more time than most of us sleep. So here's the big question, the real kicker. With all this time we're supposedly connected, why do we still struggle so much to actually communicate?
So, to figure that out, we really have to go back to basics. I mean, what are we actually trying to do when we communicate? Because let's be honest, it's not just about, firing information into the void and crossing our fingers. No, it's something way, way deeper than that.
Okay, so when you strip everything else away, real communication boils down to two key things: meaningful interaction and shared understanding. See, success isn't about whether your message was sent, it's about whether a shared meaning was created between you and the other person. If they don't get what you truly mean, well, you haven't communicated. You've just made noise. All right, so if we think about communication like it's a machine, right? A machine designed to create that shared meaning, where does it break down? What's the glitch in the system that causes our messages to get lost or twisted or just flat out ignored? Well, to understand that, we can actually look at a really simple classic model. Okay, so this is the classic communication model. You've got a sender who has an idea. They put that idea into a message, maybe it's a text, an email, whatever. That goes through a channel or a medium to a receiver. The receiver gets it and then sends feedback. Looks like a perfect, clean little loop, doesn't it? Yeah. But we all know it's never, ever this simple.
Why? Because there's always this one critical factor that gets in the way: noise. And I'm not just talking about like a bad phone connection or a loud cafe. Noise is anything that disrupts the message. Sure, it could be physical, like that loud room. It could be what we call semantic noise, like using jargon the other person just doesn't get. But, and this is the big one, it can be internal noise. The receiver's own biases, their assumptions, or even just the mood they're in.
So while that classic model is a great starting point, our modern digital world has cooked up its own really unique and powerful forms of noise. Let's break down how this noise shows up as three specific barriers. Barriers that are probably tripping you up every single day without you even realizing it. First up, barrier number one, distance. And look, I don't just mean physical distance, like being in different cities. Those 8 hours a day we're online, that creates a massive digital distance. But think about the emotional distance too, like when you're arguing over text instead of face-to-face. Or what about hierarchical distance? The gap between a boss and a new employee, where a simple request can accidentally sound like a threat. All of these gaps, they just strip our messages of all the important context and, honestly, the humanity. And all that distance, well, it leads us straight into our second barrier: misinterpretation. Oh, we've all been here, right? You send a quick one-line email, you think you're just being efficient, but the person on the other end, they read it as cold or angry or dismissive. And why does that happen? Because their background, their mood, their past experiences with you, all of that internal noise completely changes the meaning of your words. And that brings us to the final barrier. And honestly, this one might be the most destructive of all: self-interest. This is what happens when communication stops being about creating a shared meaning and just becomes a transaction. It's that what's in it for me mindset. And the second that happens, you've created a win-lose situation that just absolutely destroys trust and makes any real collaboration pretty much impossible.
Okay, so that's the bad news. I know, it sounds like we're fighting this uphill battle against distance, misinterpretation, and self-interest every single time we try to connect. But here's the good news. There are concrete, practical tools we can use to overcome every single one of these barriers. Think of this next part as your toolkit for genuine connection.
All right, let's tackle that first problem head on: distance. Remember, whether it's a screen, a job title, or just an emotional gap, this is what makes our words feel empty.
The only way to fix it is to actively, intentionally build a bridge across that gap. So how do you actually build that bridge? Well, to close emotional distance, you practice empathy. You genuinely try to see the world from their perspective. To shrink that hierarchical distance, you stop saying I and you so much and start using we. And to close that digital gap, you practice active listening. That means you ask questions not just to form your reply, but to truly understand. You show them you're actually present and listening. Okay, on to the next one, that all too common problem of misinterpretation. You know the one, where a conversation ends and two people walk away with completely different ideas of what just happened. To stop that from happening, we have to be proactive. We have to build a shared foundation right from the very start. And here's a simple 4-step process for that. 1. Before you dive into any details, state the common goal out loud. What are we trying to achieve here? 2. Drop the jargon. Just use simple, clear language. 3, and this is crucial, confirm that you're on the same page. Ask questions like, does that make sense? Or even better, so just to make sure I've got it, my understanding is X. Is that right? And finally, number 4, focus on facts, not your assumptions about what you think the other person is thinking.
And now for that final and, most toxic barrier, this self-interest mindset, the one that turns every interaction into a battle. So if the problem is that me versus you approach, the only real solution is to completely reframe the entire conversation. You have to start searching for the win-win. So how do you actually find that win-win? First, you have to look beyond their stated position, what they say they want, and figure out their interest, why they want it. You'll be surprised how often your underlying interests actually line up, even if your positions seem miles apart. Then, instead of just arguing over one solution, brainstorm a bunch of different options together. And finally, when you do make a proposal, frame it around the mutual benefits. Don't just show them how it helps you, show them how it helps us. Okay, let's put that all together in one place. This is really the core takeaway of this whole explainer. It's like a cheat sheet. For every barrier that makes our communication feel broken, there's a clear, actionable strategy to fix it. You've got distance, you solve it by bridging the gaps. You've got misunderstanding, you solve it by building common goals. And you've got self-interest, you solve that by finding the win-win. It's that simple. Now, putting these tools into practice, it's about more than just having better arguments or writing clearer emails. It's really about a fundamental shift in your mindset. And it's a shift that is absolutely essential if you want to thrive in this hyper-connected, yet somehow disconnected world we're all living in.
You see, when we start using these strategies in our digital world, they help us master 3 new critical elements of communication. First, we learn to master the digital space where we meet. Second, we move past our own personal view to create a shared interpretation. That's exactly what building common goals does. And third, we shift from self-interest to a shared interest, and that's our win-win strategy in action. See how it all just clicks together? And all of this, all these tools and mindsets, it all leads to one single powerful idea. Every single conversation, every email, every meeting, it's an opportunity. You have a choice. You can treat it as just a transaction where you try to get what you want and then move on, or you can treat it as a chance to build a relationship, a chance to build trust, create real understanding, and foster a connection that lasts. And that, right there, is the real takeaway. It's a choice we make every single time we communicate. So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. In your very next conversation, the next one you have today, whether it's on WhatsApp, in an email, or face-to-face, what is one small thing you will do to build a relationship instead of just completing a transaction?